Welcome back to my channel, everybody. I'm Dylan, and today we're going to be talking about if you should revise for your degree after you've finished it. Now, I know to start with that might be a very confusing statement, but let's look at it like this. If I bought a padlock from Tesco, right, for £1, because it was only £1, I might feel like, you know what, I can use it once and then I'll chuck it in the bin. If, let's say, I got my padlocks from Supreme and they cost me £100, you bet I'm going to want to use my padlock more than once before I throw it in the bin. So there is almost a relationship between how much you spend on something and how much use you want to get out of it. Now, obviously, a degree in the UK, you're looking at spending £27,000 upwards. So with such an expensive price tag, should you really just forget everything you've learned after your degree? So let me just say, now, I haven't really spoke to too many people about how much of their degree they've forgotten, but I know from my own perspective, it's been a year since I graduated from economics and finance. I'm studying full-time at drama school every day now, and in the space of the last 9 months, I've forgotten probably about 85% of my degree content that I learned. Now, obviously, I'm at the stage where it's only been 9 months since I last studied economics, and if I really wanted to, I could sit down, I could pull out these books, and I could start revising all of the stuff that I learned from my degree and bring back that knowledge that I spent all that money to acquire. However, you know, I just feasibly don't feel like I have enough desire to do that or time. And that is what this video is about. Should you have a few gentle refreshers every now and then about what you learnt in your degree, just so it's not a waste of money? So one thing I did, and I'd recommend that probably everyone does before they graduate, is that while you still have access to all of your lecture PowerPoints and all of the material that you've used over your 3 years of studying, you want to download that onto your computer. And that's what I did for all 3 of my years, downloaded every piece of content I have, because that is what you're paying for. You're paying for the PowerPoint, the knowledge, the content. So despite forgetting all of my degree, I do currently have the capabilities to pull back all of the material I learned and refresh my mind on it from when I was studying my degree. Now that kind of gives me comfort and allows me to almost forget my degree because I know that it's all here. I can pull up the PowerPoint slides, learn it all again. But I do wonder, when is the right time to get rid of all these books? But back on to the main point of this video. Is it bad to forget everything you've learnt in your degree? Well, I'm only speaking for myself. There's been a few times when my friends have rung me up and said, hey Dylan, what's the deal with this microeconomic stuff? And I kind of, I wake up the old brain clogs and I kind of start pulling at a few strings, and they keep feeding me these words and it brings back a bit of knowledge in there and there and there. But I can't quite help them fully to the point they need to be helped, despite having a 2-1, almost a first, in economics and finance. And I do feel a bit bad for that. And the answer is simple. I could revise everything and then get my knowledge back up, and maybe that would be a good thing to do. But I think the answer to this video, the title of this video, the question of should you revise for your degree after you've finished your degree, is that it doesn't matter. Because some people to think of, I don't want to waste my money, I must keep all of this knowledge fresh in my head. But I think, as I always say, university is a vehicle. It's like a vehicle into your next chapter in life. And I think as the vehicle drives along, as this analogy is getting quite weird, as the vehicle drives along, you got the windows open and you're just chucking stuff out because you're running out of petrol, your brain's running out of room. So you're chucking out all of this stuff that started the journey out the window, allowing the car to be lighter and go further. And as you get further and further and closer to your destination, you no longer need all of this stuff that you've previously learned, in your degree. You might need a few things, but not everything. Honestly, I sat down for this video and was like, yeah, let's talk about this question and kind of freestyle it. That analogy was super weird, but I think it kind of works. As long as you use your degree and keep aspects of it that work for you. For example, for me, the investing side of things, I've used and I've continuously used it to develop myself and my YouTube channels and my finances and so on. I've kept a section of it and I'm using it as a vehicle to drive me forward in life. As long as you select the things, whether it be helping you get a job or, taking up a personal hobby, starting your own business, reading stuff, as long as you keep the knowledge and the things that is going to be used to drive your life forward from your degree, then I think it's perfectly acceptable, in my opinion, not to revise the stuff that you don't need. And despite paying a large amount of money for all of the knowledge, I think it's okay to discard some of it. and free up some brain space. Now personally, I would only ever discard it once I've written it down, because I think I always like to have a record of all of the stuff that I've learnt. And at this point, guys, I want to say a huge thank you to today's partners, Alibaba.com. Alibaba.com is a world-leading global brand-to-brand trading e-commerce platform. On Alibaba.com's marketplace, you can find exactly what you're looking for with more than 100,000 global suppliers in 40 different major categories. Now, Alibaba.com has many verified suppliers, and they all provide quality products for a nice price, as Alibaba.com claim. Now, during my economics degree, we learnt about economies of scale, where the higher the output up to a certain point, the lower the average cost of production. Now on Alibaba, let's say if I wanted to order, 40 notebooks, 40 bags, I would actually be able to, if I buy in bulk, get a discount on my order relative to if I bought them all individually one by one. And now this sort of economies of scale prospect is perfect for, let's say, if you was looking to start drop shipping or buying and selling your own products, if that's what you was into and that's what you wanted to explore. Because the more you're able to buy in bulk and get a discount, the lower the average cost of your production, and the lower the average cost of production, assuming the price the same and other things the same, then the more profit you're going to make. We're now on the Alibaba.com website, and I've searched for pens and selected some pens right here. Now, as I was saying, I like that Alibaba.com has a real economies of scale prospect, where if you're looking to buy a large quantity of pens, then the price actually reduces the more you buy. So for example, in this case right here, at university you use pens every day. You could, let's say, buy 1,000 pens at an average cost of 10p each. Now that is relatively cheap compared to when you're looking at paying £2 for 5 pens in the actual bookstore. Because you're buying them in bulk, you actually get them at a lot cheaper rate, which long term would actually work out to save you money unless you're really good at keeping your pens. Now it's the same with masks. If only we'd known about a year ago that we'd be using a mask every single day for the rest of the upcoming future, then everybody probably would have gone to buy face masks in bulk. However, because you're buying in such bulk prices, every piece works out at 2p pretty much, whereas if you go to a vending machine, it would cost you £1 for 2 masks. So thank you very much to Alibaba.com for partnering up with me on today's video. They'll be linked down in the description below. But for me, it's been about 10 months since I had my online university exams, which were absolutely hectic last year in the first year of Corona. And I kind of, literally from the moment I finished my last exam, the only time I've picked up any of the material I've learned officially and properly and for more than an hour is when I was revising stuff for my friend. But I think and it's crazy to think that me, my friends, none of us who aren't in a job have even looked or thought about maintaining all of the knowledge that's inside those books. And I know some of my friends that have gone into working part-time in supermarkets, there's temperature gun people, and I do wonder, they're looking to go into a field of economics in the future, I think. Me personally, as I was saying, I'm at drama school. I'm looking much more to go into the drama school side of things, so I'm not as conscious about keeping up all of the knowledge and stuff that I've learned in these videos here. However, I wonder if my friends who are, let's say, looking to go into economics in the future, finance, banking and so on, I wonder if they are looking at all of the material they've learnt, or if it's just kind of filtering out of the ear and they're like, you know what, I'll pick it up if and when I need to, which is my current plan as well. But I think it's a very interesting one, and I'd be fascinated to hear what you guys have to say about revising for your exams / revising your degree after you've graduated, because conventionally, why on earth would you revise for a degree or an exam after you've taken the exam? I mean, if in school you would get called a nerd, right? But in school you're not paying all of that money for it. And I think it kind of relates again to the incentive to do well at university always stems from the vast amount of money that you're paying, because I know, for example, in some countries, I believe Germany, and if you're Scottish and you go to university in Scotland, you get university free. And I think the amount of times that if I was, slightly hungover in bed, if university was free, I would have sat there and gone, you know what, I just can't be bothered to go to my lecture, because when you're not paying for it, the opportunity cost, well, arguably is zero because you're not losing any money. As soon as you're paying all that money, the opportunity cost of not going to your lecture becomes, how much each lecture to you is worth monetary. And I think we did the maths one time, and if you pay £27,000 and you have about 13 hours contact time per week, I believe it worked out something like £30 a lecture. Now that maths would need to be double checked, but as soon as you start paying for it, the opportunity cost becomes £30. And when there's an opportunity cost, like with the padlock analogy earlier on, psychologically you're less inclined to miss something, you're less inclined to let everything you've just learned fall out the window. So clearly there are some benefits of revising your degree after you've graduated, and that stems from being smarter, having that knowledge going forward with you every day. But I don't think it's essential, like I was saying. It's only essential that you keep the stuff that is going to be relevant to your life. Because as Elon Musk once said, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and Joe Rogan asked him, how on earth do you keep up with Tesla, SpaceX, the Boring Company? What's your kind of division of a brain capacity sort of thing? And he goes, I spend about 70% brain capacity on Tesla, X on SpaceX, and X on the Boring Company. And for me, when he said that, that's kind of resonated with me ever since, because it kind of got me thinking about brain capacity, and everybody has a finite amount of brain capacity. Obviously, you can change that by going to school, well, educating yourself, practicing, so that you can expand your brain capacity. But I think, as he said, he's only got a finite amount of capacity, and he has to allocate that effectively. So if, for example, with this kind of should you keep all the knowledge of a degree in your head because you paid for it, if you keep all of it in your head, as you know, when you're at university, you study full time, it takes up pretty much 99% of your brain capacity and all your energy, your time. So if you wanted to revise every second and keep all of that knowledge inside your head, once you graduate, granted your brain capacity is a bit higher, it's going to be at least taking up, 50-60% of your brain capacity, especially because you learn so much, and to keep it all inside. And is it really worth taking up 60% of your brain capacity, for example, on notes that aren't really relevant to your life anymore or the field of your life anymore, when you could be spending that brain capacity going into more detail in the aspects of your life that are relevant? And me personally, I think that's not true. So I don't think you should bother taking up your brain capacity with irrelevant stuff. So that is my true thoughts on this topic that I think is not really talked about too much, that should be talked about. So if you did enjoy this video, please do leave a like, subscribe down below. Honestly, every like really helps. And here's a podcast clip from my recent podcast with my friend Jacob, the My 20s Podcast. It can be listened to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or you can check out the highlights on my second channel. I'll roll a clip.
Oh mate,
The grind, for reference, the grind of finishing uni and getting a job.
I've got to actually finish uni first,
Yeah, well, you'll finish it.
I'll finish it. I've got only got one exam this summer.
Yeah, that's calm.
I get 2 days to do it.
Do you know what you want to do after uni? You study business studies right now, business management or studies?
Yeah, business management.
And it's like, well, but you because it's weird, because obviously I said to people my career path kind of very much be an actor, kind of chill and wait for the phone to ring, see what happens, get lucky.
Yeah.
Whereas John obviously came on here straight into accountancy. Geordie's finishing off his final year, then he doesn't know. And David obviously went into computer science job. Do you have a thing you want to... Because it's in your 20s, it's young to figure out what you want to do.
That's the thing. I think I'm still very young, and I have to remember that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to commit to a career and then 5 years down the line just not like it.
Yeah, because then I met this guy. I was in Greece, and me and Harriet, we met this guy called Pat, and I was not memeing it, but it's always interesting to see what people say. And I was like, Pat, if you had one piece of advice at the end of the night to tell us, and he's 40, bald guy, lovely guy, loves to talk. I was like, what would you tell us? And he said something weird, not weird, but he said moral of the story, follow a job you'd much rather do as an enjoyment as opposed to monetary terms, because he was like, yeah, I was an aerospace engineer for X amount of years after uni, did it for 5 years or 10 years even, and then he said he recently switched jobs to start a new career path in something he enjoyed more. Yeah. So when he first graduated, he was earning good money. He did that for 15 years, then he decided, I want to change jobs, changed to a job in the field he enjoyed, and then it took him 15 years to earn as much as when he first graduated from doing something for the money.
That's pretty crazy.
I was like, because obviously you kind of hear you're full of dreams opposed to money, but it was 15. That's huge. 15 years.
That's a huge difference.
And obviously he's making progress, but would you?
Well, there's that saying, isn't it? If you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life.
Oh, philosophical.
Oh, mate, yeah.
That's going to be the title of this little highlight. Yeah, I like that. It's true though.
It is true. It's very true. That's
But how do you find what you love? That's what people often say. It's when you're super young, You obviously like love football, you love sports. Then you get a bit older, you love like drinking, going out, clubbing.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be like a hostess really your whole life, or
Exactly.
bartender.
That's the thing. I think you got to look to find out. You've got to
You got to try.
you've got to experience these things to actually know, I think.
Yeah, for sure. The more you try, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you know. The more you know,
100%.
you're onto a winner.
And at the end of the day, it is who you know and not what you know. So,
Networking.
Exactly. You've got to build your network.
But networking is the biggest thing. It's like it's always about who you know, but that's why there's always that big thing about social class, because it's like the people that come from very expensive and wealthy backgrounds, their network's already tenfold compared to what like other people's are. So it's like, how do you then break that boundary down? Offer me some advice, JT. That we all need it right now. Everyone listening.
I think you asked the wrong person, mate.
That's a problem. Well, that's the thing. It's like, do you remember? It's not really networking, but what set were you for English? Set 3.
Set 3.
Okay, so here's a little story. Basically, I was in set 4 for English and GCSEs, and this is not really networking, more bum licking the teacher sort of thing. I was like answering questions. I was doing this. I was like, yes, miss, blah blah blah, and then I leapfrogged from set 4 to set 2. So I never got to spend any time with you, sadly.
It's a shame.
But it just goes to show you how like I kind of built my network / kissing up to the teacher. Got my teacher on my side.
Yeah.
In my network, and then I just straight up the channel, leapfrogged you. And it's the same sort of thing in life. If you know the right people.
Oh, 100%. And I think maybe you just showed the teachers a side of you that they hadn't seen before. You know, and like that's all it takes sometimes.
That's all it takes. Although there's not really much of a reward for going from set 4 to 2, except I don't know, what's the reward? Potentially around smart people, but
potentially a better grade, but
fuck man, do you
all up in my head, that's how I behave. Passing up the same, waking up the same. All up in my head, that's just how I behave.